What's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. We got another Chel Stars podcast for you. We got the whole gang back together here. We're got a good hour coming up. We're gonna talk a little more about the Canucks and Canucks and Avs recap. And today we're gonna be talking about players that have been hampered by their team and their coach. So we've sat down and talked a little bit about that. We're kind of going through our selections there. And then, of course, we got our player trivia for you. Switching it up a little bit today, Max and myself have some trivia questions. I want to see how Kyle, Mike, and Aaron do, as well as all of you who are listening. And then that'll cap us off in case there's anything else we need to talk about. So without further ado, let's get into it. Canucks. Let's talk once again about the Canucks and how they're doing. When we left you off last, they were doing slightly better, coming off a high-scoring Anaheim game, which saw them score 8 goals. But we are back in our old ways. A 4-3 loss to Nashville. And this was a pretty disappointing final, if I might say, final score here. Again, blowing a lead. Canucks had a 3-0 lead, and losing 4-3 in a shootout was, I don't know what to really say once again. Max, I know you were at the game. How was the atmosphere there, especially as the lead was disappearing, heading into the third, and then in the overtime? What was the sense of the crowd?
It wasn't great. I mean, obviously, first period to get off to a 3-0 lead, and they had multiple chances to even score a few more. Sheldon Dries had few missed, empty nets, basically. But the crowd was really buzzing. I mean, they had the nice new goal song with some Nickelback going, which, gotta say, it was a lot better than their usual one. But second period started to kind of slowly crumble, and that's when Nashville really started to turn the tide against the Canucks, getting one back on them, and there was 2 fights in there as well. Myers getting a misconduct, which didn't really help things, shortening the bench. Then the third period goes in, and I was at the game with my dad, and we were saying during the intermission, the last thing the Canucks need to do is let the next goal in, and within a minute they did, and then a minute later another one went in, and Canucks have blown now how many leads in this shortened season already, and it's more of a mental thing at this point. Obviously they just can't get it together. Third period, their goal differential is just horrible, and near the end of the game, they were just trying to survive and try and get a point, it seemed. And then overtime was more or less the same. Shootout, let's not talk about those 3 attempts because they were all awful. Any one of you guys else watch the game?
Didn't Bo Horvat give some fan $80 because he messed up his bet?
Yeah, did he actually?
I did see that. Yeah, I think the guy bet $100 or something, and he was like, "Yeah, DM me your details."
Yeah.
Someone needs to teach Miller how to deke before he shoots, is what I noticed that game, because he had 2 breakaways and the shootout attempt, and I think he did the same thing every single time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe he can spend $9 million on that.
You would think, right?
8 mil.
But no, I think your point about it being a mental thing is a really big factor, because we keep seeing the good starts, so we know it's there. Yeah. But just something along the way is just, things are just exploding as the game goes on, and there's just no reason for it. It doesn't really make sense at this point anymore.
So they look like a team that's trying not to lose compared to a team that's trying to win. Because you go back to last season, and Miller, those chances were money in the bank.
Yeah.
Like that, those were in the back of the net 9 times out of 10. And they're just not. And then, you even go to the shootout with Horvat fumbling the puck. It seems like they're just thinking too much. And that's, the more they lose, the more that just becomes prevalent.
Yeah, it's more even so, because it's the same thing happening. It's not that they're losing, some games they're getting blown out, but all these games, out of the first 12 games of the season, they've led in 8 of them. And obviously we had that first 5 or 6 game streak of blowing multiple goal leads. So it's just a full mental thing that in their head, they have a lead of 2 goals and then the other team scores 1. And in their head, they're just like, uh-oh, here we go again. And they're just kind of almost just, letting it happen to them. And in the shootout, Horvat's attempt, you can just tell he let it, just overthought it. Because NHL players don't just mishandle the puck like that easily.
Yeah.
And, I mentioned on the podcast right before, after the Anaheim game, about them playing better in front of Demko, and sure enough, they blew another lead for him, which he had a pretty good game. He held them in it at certain points, but another loss for him, which for him is just so gut-wrenching. I hate how, know how he feels, let alone the whole locker room.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they should have played Martin, to be honest. If I'm gonna keep it real.
2 games.
I don't think Demko's played. I don't think it's his fault for a lot of these losses.
I don't know. I agree, but his record says otherwise.
Well, Martin's
his save percentage is not very good.
Well, it's because the chances. The 2-on-1s they're giving them.
It's more the chances, and then us having the worst penalty kill in the league. A goalie can't do much on a penalty kill. It's also the team in front of him. But yeah, upcoming 5-game road trip for the Canucks, which will be a very pivotal part of our season. If they lose, 3 or 4 of them, especially the first few, then you can most likely expect a big trade. Rutherford, there's no way he's sitting back right now and thinking just about weighing this through. I don't know if it'll be a coaching change, a big trade. I don't know what you do. They're in such a tough spot. It's hard to even really think about what they can do.
What do you think they should do?
Oh, God. After watching that game, I think that any way possible of getting rid of Ekman-Larsson or Myers would be great, but that's just not easy. I even would go as far as healthy scratching Ekman-Larsson or even Pearson. You have so many players that aren't playing in the lineup right now. Rathbone isn't playing. Hoglander, Podkolzin keep swapping out for games. And that's even with Besser being injured, who might get back in the lineup. So that changes things. So I don't know why they're not trying different things and trying to shuffle the lineup. Because right now it's just the same thing over and over. And there's only so much you can do before you need to make a big move or a transaction.
So I haven't really been able to watch the last few games very closely. I don't know if you guys know the answer to this, but has there been any adjustment to the kind of systems that they're playing with? Like breakout wides or just offensive styles, or are they just trying the same thing and it just keeps not working?
I don't think their system's changed.
No,
if it has, then it's not really doing a good job.
I think it's very much a run and gun system.
Obviously a lot of it is, like you guys said, the mentality and just the players not performing. But at some point, that seems like the first very basic change you would make as a coach. Things aren't working. Let's try something different before we try to blow up the whole team.
The only thing they did differently was change up lines, but you can only change up your lines so much, to actually help your team. And I don't think it's really helped them no matter what lines they throw out. I think that Anaheim game was fantastic when they won 8-5. Those lines kind of looked Like they looked like they were gelling that night with all the goals being scored. But other than that, I mean, the Nashville game was kind of poor after the first period.
Did anybody hear what Rutherford said today, I believe?
Yeah, I didn't see all of it, but I just saw some brief points.
What did he say?
I can read. Let me read a little bit here because it's kind of based on what we're talking about, the systems and changes. Well, he says, and this was on Sportsnet's Canucks Central today. He says, first of all, this is not going to get changed in a real short period of time. I know that we all recognize that, and there's a real change here related to sorting out contracts and different things like that. At this point, I would have expected better. I didn't like our training camp, and we continued into the early part of the season the same way as our training camp was. There's a lot of things that have to happen, but in order for us to become a better team, we have to play with a stronger system and really be more accountable for some of the things some of the players are struggling with. We're at a point now, and certainly will be at this point even more so at the end of this road trip, where we have to make players more accountable. We'll have to take the necessary steps to get players' attention. We tried to make changes in the offseason. A priority of ours is the right side of our defense. We need to make it younger. And that's it.
So one thing there, again, I think this is like the fifth time I heard him say that their training camp was bad.
Yeah.
Like, what
Yeah.
happened during that training camp? Like, in the preseason, obviously that's not fully training camp, but, preseason they looked pretty decent. I don't know what they were doing during the training camp and everything, but I don't know why it was so bad.
A lot of that, too, seems to be quite directly pointed at Boudreau and how he's been running things. It does not seem like those two are seeing things on the same page as far as the systems we've been talking about, playing certain players. And I don't think there's really a confidence that the management thinks that Boudreau is going to be able to fix things. And that's kind of concerning going forward for sure.
Point.
I would agree when Rutherford's talking about systems and holding players accountable. Basically saying I've built a good aside from right side defense, this is a good team. You all need to play better.
Yeah.
It's like the message I'm getting.
It's hard to have a successful team when all the big people in the picture are on different pages.
Yeah. I mean, their structure does not look cohesive at all when they're playing games. So, the players are not playing as one, and the more they lose, the worse they get.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of truth to that statement for sure that Rutherford has made. So heading into this week, just their current games coming up. They're on an Eastern road trip. We have Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, and Boston, and Buffalo, I think. So big Eastern trip.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. So 5 games there. Are they coming out with a winning record, or does anybody think they can swing the tides? Maybe come out with even 2 wins out of these 5 games?
Sorry, I know you said the teams. Can you repeat them one more time? Sorry, I forgot what teams, and then I can answer your question.
Sure, they're going through Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto, Boston, and Buffalo. So
I don't see why they can't pick up 2 wins at least. But again, it's the Canucks, so I don't want to fully say yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, at this point, I would be surprised if they got more than 2 out of those 5.
Yeah. If they can rattle off the first 2 against Ottawa and Montreal, that gives them a lot more, hopefully, a bit of a boost going into those last 3. Because those last 3 are,
And then Toronto
really
will
good
play
opponents.
down to the Canucks level. Toronto's very good at playing to whatever level team they're playing.
Well, we might be facing an AHL goalie over there, so yeah, could be interesting.
Yeah. Brutal. Yeah. And then
It's-
Buffalo is such a toss-up. They're having such a good season. Same with Boston. So
I mean, yeah, Buffalo whooped us earlier this year already, so could be,
Yeah.
hopefully a bit of a rematch there, get some revenge on them, but it depends how they start this road trip.
and the
Yeah.
nice thing is anything is possible. Hockey's
Yeah.
such a random sport.
I love the optimism around the Canucks, Kyle. We rarely see that from you.
Yeah,
Anything is possible.
it's just because we're so down on them right now. He's
Anything
the
is
uplifting
possible.
one.
But then when I say Canucks could finish first in the conference before the year starts, apparently that wasn't possible.
Not possible.
Well, we will check back in, and I think I agree with Max said. With Ottawa, Montreal is a good chance to kind of get on a swing, get some momentum. But every win seems even the wins seem very difficult for the Canucks. So
So I don't know how often you guys use Money Puck to see like their game predictor. Do you guys use that feature ever?
Oh yeah,
The Canucks are supposed to lose all 5 games according to their simulations. And the highest chance they have of winning is against Montreal at a 48% chance.
Pretty good.
Everyone else is significantly lower.
pretty good. Well,
yeah,
Chance.
it sounds about right.
sounds about right. Yeah.
So actually, now I would bet on the Canucks because they can't lose every game, right?
But they can.
You would think.
First 5 games of the season.
You just said it, Kyle. Hockey's unpredictable. So now it was actually a good time to bet on the Canucks. I think they're gonna surprise.
You would encourage our fans put their hard-earned money into sports gambling for the Canucks.
I think now is a good time to take the under on the Canucks. I think that's pretty understandable, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that's a good call.
Okay. 5-game road trip.
If you were gonna take the odds, right? I would take the Canucks because how can they have? They can't blow a lead forever.
I wonder what the payout is for the Canucks to lose all 5 games. I bet you could probably make more money betting on them to lose than you would bet on them to win.
To lose
All 5 games.
you bet on each individual game that they're gonna lose.
Like a parlay of sorts.
I would take. You could take them over Boston. You might. That's a good bet. Yeah, you know what? I'll predict it. Canucks will beat Boston. You heard it here.
Canucks will beat Boston.
Oh,
Put
shit.
your money on it.
No, for sure. I'll say so. Yeah, Sunday, November 13th, 3 p.m. Corey says Canucks will beat Boston.
Score prediction?
No.
Okay. 8-5.
Come on, yeah, no, they'll beat it. That's yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, it's easy to say that they'll lose because that's the easy choice. So I'm making the hard calls here. Just throwing that out there.
Well, we can probably move on to maybe a little bit more promising team with the Avs. Kyle, did you get a chance to watch any of the, what do they call it? The World... I don't even remember what they call it.
Global Series.
There you go, Global Series.
World Series, you were going to say.
Not World Series.
I did watch the World Series as well. I was very upset that Houston won, but I don't know if y'all are baseball at all. I did watch part of the first game. Super happy that Colorado got an early lead, and then they proceeded to blow another 3-0 lead, which was awesome to watch. But they did end up scoring 3 unanswered goals and winning that 6-3, and then absolutely rocked Columbus the next day, 5-1. So good couple games there. Gonna be excited to get them back in North America and having them play at a more regular time that I can watch instead of 11 a.m. But overall, it's exactly what I expected from the trip. 2 wins against Columbus. Anything less than that would be disappointing. So, yeah, that's that.
Yeah, I must say it's an interesting choice to send poor Columbus over there to just get killed by Colorado. I mean, as much as you want to be optimistic that Columbus was going to do better, I think we all knew how it was going to end, and it seems like a long trip just for a result that we all knew was going to happen.
Yeah, they did play in Laine's hometown, so that's why Columbus was there.
Okay.
And then Colorado has a really huge Scandinavian following, so they were also a popular choice for that. So, yeah, that is why.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about the games. The other thing I did want to touch on, kind of sad news coming out of the Colorado organization. On Sunday, the Avalanche released a heartbreaking statement that longtime TV personality and Colorado hockey icon Peter McNabb passed away at the age of 70. He was diagnosed with cancer last September, and though he was in remission in February, it ended up returning, and here we are. Growing up, I was super fortunate to have the Altitude Avalanche broadcasts at my parents' place, and no matter who was calling the game, Peter was always there to provide color commentary. He's been the Colorado's color commentary person since their first season in 1995. That's 3 cup victories in 27 seasons, and Peter was there for it all. Almost immediately, there was an outpouring of support. Peter was loved by the organization, players, and most importantly, the fans. Statement from Joe Sakic and a bunch of other players came out, but I'm going to do the Joe Sakic one real quick. The Avalanche organization is beyond sad to hear the news of Peter's passing. Peter has been there for every season in the Avalanche's existence and is a voice of the team through so many memorable years, including 3 Stanley Cup championships. He was a staple in the local hockey community, going back to his years playing at the University of Denver to working nearly 30 years with the Avs. But as good as a hockey man he was, he will be remembered for being a friend to so many. On behalf of the Avs organization, we send our deepest condolences to the entire McNabb family. Peter will be greatly missed. So thank you, Peter, for being such a monumental part of Colorado Avalanche hockey and my NHL experience growing up. Avs games will not be the same without you. Rest in peace.
Yeah, nice
Thank
statement.
you, Kyle.
Yeah. Sad day. Anyways, we can move on.
I did just want to touch on the Calgary Flames quickly, as I know there's a few listeners that are Calgary fans, and they watch their games pretty regularly. Calgary's lost 5 in a row. 5 in a row.
Holy, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. And 4 of those games have been 1-goal games.
Yikes.
So I just kind of wanted to ask a question to those Flames fans out there about what they think is the problem, or what are their thoughts on this recent skid, and how they feel this new group is doing. Kadri has 6 goals, point per game. Huberdeau, one goal so far.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Huberdeau has not really been visible so far this season at all.
No. Yeah. And Markstrom's numbers are not the greatest. And I know he's said that he needs to be better himself. So I don't know if we'll see Vlad. How do you say his name? Vladar.
Vladar.
Maybe we see
Vladar.
Sorry, Vladar. If we'll see him start more games coming up. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, and maybe if any Calgary fans just want to shoot us a message in our DMs on Instagram about your thoughts on the current state of Calgary and where they go from there and what they're seeing from the players. So
I think you're right with like Markstrom definitely having to play a little bit better. Obviously, he said that as well. But it's not like he's been playing like totally awful. He's just not last season's Markstrom. A couple players that I've kind of noticed have also like been super quiet. I mean, like Mangiapane, he hasn't really done much. He has a couple goals in 10 games, definitely not in last season's form. And Lindholm as well. He only has 6 points in 10 games, but most of those points came last week. Like going into the start of last week, he only had like a point or two. So super interesting there. I don't know what's happening, especially because like I guess there's a little bit of change that happened with Huberdeau and Kadri coming in and Monahan and Gaudreau going out. But other than that, it's a
Kachuk as well.
Team.
I'm wondering if secondary scoring is an issue so far. But again, we're only 10, 11 games in.
I think it's also you can look at them at 5-on-5 because speaking of all those top guys, Huberdeau with 5 points in 10 games, 4 of those points are on the power play. Lindholm, 2 of his 6 are on the power play. 5 of Kadri's 11 is on the power play. So not a lot of 5-on-5 scoring happening over there right now, and they're allowing 3.3 goals a game for a team that, at least going into the season, we all thought, or at least most people thought, had like one of the best defenses in goaltending. So,
right,
dude, Monahan's been quiet. Monahan hasn't produced anything, and he's on the ice for a bunch of goals.
Monahan's
on Montreal.
What?
Hanifin, sorry. Hanifin. God, why do I do that so much? Hanifin's playing 20. Yeah, Hanifin's playing 22 minutes a night, and he's doing nothing.
God, you're really like asking for like an Instagram blooper reel here. Like, come on.
And that's next. He's gonna say Iginla is having a terrible year, 0 points. Yeah, good observations, you guys. That's interesting. We'll have to check back on that as well. Pacific is an interesting division to watch right now.
It's weird with Edmonton not being at the top of the division either, like most of us predicted.
Yeah,
they haven't been great.
I'm not super surprised Vegas is doing well though. I mean,
it was such a toss-up though, because there was a good chance that their goalies were just brutal. But if they could get stable goaltending, here they are.
And just a healthy lineup.
How about Seattle right behind them?
That one's definitely a bit more surprising, but I mean, they did have promise last year, so it's not too shocking. But you look at their roster compared to like an Edmonton or a Calgary, and that's pretty surprising that they're that far ahead right now.
Who's leading the way on that for that team right now?
For Seattle, it's tied between Schwartz and Burakovsky, both with 10 points in 13.
Schwartz had a great few weeks, like first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, Beniers is off to a really good start as well. 5 goals, 4 assists.
Yeah. Okay.
And your boy Brandon Tanev.
My guy, yes, I love
He's always up
Tanev.
there.
I didn't pick him because just wasn't sure about his knee.
How do you
But
think
there's
you're... Oh, actually, never mind. I'm not going to answer that question.
No more bloopers?
No, it was about Shane Wright, and I just know that that's not.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Shall we get into our discussion topics this week?
Yeah, Mikey, do you want to take us away?
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to be discussing players being hampered by the team or coach. We all have either one or two players. I picked two just from the same team to make it a little bit easier. I'll just kick it off before you guys forget about me. I'm going to do. I chose Podkolzin and Hoglander, both on the Vancouver Canucks. Again, being a little biased here because it's kind of tough to see two younger guys who have talent and have shown it in previous games or even last season and even in the preseason what they can do, but they're either not getting the opportunities or the kind of time on the ice that I think they need. I think Max discussed this a little bit earlier where they're both taking turns playing. They won't, play literally in the same day. One of them will be scratched, one of them will play. And if it's Podkolzin, he'll be playing bottom minutes as well. Hoglander played on the top line last game. He got an assist, I believe, but I mean, again, it's just really nowhere to showcase their ability, in my opinion. And if that is so, maybe give these guys a couple AHL games to, get their rhythm and everything like that, rather than just sitting them on, the bench. Kind of my opinion on those. I know we have the Canucks fans in here. What do you guys think about the kind of situation with Hoglander and Podkolzin not being able to play minutes they should deserve?
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that Podkolzin had the best preseason on the team.
Yeah, he did. He did.
He was the most electric player on the squad.
Yeah, but obviously preseason, regular season, not the same. But it did show you what he can bring to the team.
But it just showed you, if you put him in a little bit of an elevated role, it's not like he was playing grubs on defense. He would have been playing the average, NHL replacement level player. So I just don't see why he's not playing second, third line minutes instead of all these other guys playing those minutes. If they're going to lose anyways, you might as well have your young guys.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. You're already losing these games. Why are we not shaking up the lineup, giving these guys more reps? Because Podkolzin and Hoglander, almost compared to any other Canuck, give the most effort. They're always the first ones to the corners, dumping, chasing. The effort's never
who's
not
the
there.
Miller.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, when they play them, you notice them out on the ice, and it's always for good plays, and I just don't understand us playing other players like Pearson and over him, even Dries. I don't understand that at all.
I was going to say, I feel bad for Podkolzin because he has to literally play on a line with Pearson every game. Or Joshua, one of those guys. They're not going to help develop this player. If you don't want to play him, send him down to the AHL. Like I said, give him a couple games there, see how he does. Or just put him in your top six. And, he doesn't have to score every game, but he'll be the impact on the ice that you need.
Yeah, Mikey, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there where they're really being hampered by lack of opportunity. I mean, they're not going to be perfect every game, but if you don't ever play them, they're never going to develop that chemistry or that consistency. You have to give them a chance at some point. And like Max said, things aren't working. Why not now? It doesn't really make sense why we're not giving the younger players the chance to win those spots. And maybe some older players have to be benched for a couple games. Maybe that's the way it goes until things get going a little better over in Vancouver.
Have they not had a chance?
I
Have they not had an opportunity?
Well, I think this year at least it hasn't been consistent enough from what you guys are saying. If they're splitting starts and they're not really playing every game, it's hard just to sit and watch. I think it'd be different if they were able to play in the AHL a little bit, them legs, and then come up and play some games. But I don't know. There's no perfect answer, unfortunately, for this situation.
And
Ever since Bruce came in, Podkolzin's been on a bottom six roll. And I mean, he might not just click with what Bruce wants, but that's what I've noticed even from like the end of last season. He's been playing in the bottom six. So
It's interesting that he hasn't been given more chances to play with some of the stronger players. Like maybe that would bring out another level in him too.
like I would love to see him play like a 3-on-3 overtime. Like put him out there with like, Horvat or somebody else you'll trust, and then, see what he does. He might be able to power his way through the net, score a goal. You never know.
I think Aaron, you should probably also mention your player because it coincides with what we're saying.
Yeah, sure. Before we get too deep in the Canucks talk here. So my player is another Canuck, shockingly, with Jack Rathbone. So this one is pretty similar. Obviously, being a left-handed defenseman, it's been harder for him to crack the lineup. But again, we're seeing players getting ice time that haven't been performing up to the standard they should be. So very similarly to Hoglander and Podkolzin, it doesn't really make sense why we're not giving him the opportunity. I know earlier in the year too, there was talks about moving Hughes over to the right side, shuffle things up just so he would be able to have a spot. I'm kind of shocked that hasn't happened yet with the way things have been going. But I mean, I'm sure you guys have similar opinions. Max, why don't you let us know what you think about the Canucks dealing with their defense right now?
Oh, man. I mean, I kind of briefly talked about it earlier. I'll state a point here, then I know Corey had a point to say after. But I don't know. I think we've seen a few posts about like Hughes and Shen being such a good pairing, and I just love having Shen there for Hughes. I think that does a lot for him. So I don't really want to shake up that pairing. But the only issue with that is that's the only successful pairing they have right now. You throw Myers and OEL out there together, it's a train wreck. Stillman, OEL, that's too lefty. That doesn't work at all. You got OEL, with Burrows. You got Bear, so kind of really hurt. I've liked seeing Bear out there, but really Myers out there with anyone kind of just scares me right now. I don't know why they're not toying with Hughes going to the right side. Especially since they made such a big point of that earlier in the season, and getting Rathbone in the lineup is such a big deal, and I swear that was going to be this was going to be his season to get some reps in, and it just seems like the same thing. He's only had 4 games so far this season, but that's with only playing about 10 minutes a night, which is just nothing. And he's a very similar player to Hughes, in which he's very crafty, very small. So he's a perfect candidate for that second power play unit, but OEL somehow is on that unit.
Yeah, at this point, he's just having no development time. So when they do finally throw him in, he's probably going to disappoint just because he's not playing at all. Yeah,
just throwing him out there for even strength is not going to do him anything. You look at what he did in Abbotsford last year, and he was the part of the rookie team of the year, basically. Like, he had almost a point per game with them, which is just nuts. And now he's just sitting in the press box. So what is that going to do for him for his growth? And if he's not going to get in the lineup anytime soon, I wouldn't even be surprised if he requested a trade.
Sorry, who is that, Max?
Rathbone.
Rathbone, okay.
Yeah. Did you have anything out there, Corey?
Well, I just wanted to mention a couple players that have got less time but have made a bit more of an impact with Dakota Joshua and Nils Aman. So it's they played less on average, a lot less minutes. They're averaged under 10 minutes a game. but I've got a few goals here and there and a few points and made a pretty nice presence felt on the fourth line. So I think sometimes for these maybe talented players, like more offensive top six guys that are still learning the kind of two-way play in the NHL, if they're not able to play a bottom six, if they haven't quite cracked the top six and their two-way game isn't really at a bottom six level, they often find themselves in the press box until they can kind of hone that end of the game. So that's just my thoughts on that. There often is a lot of top six players that end up in the AHL because they aren't really third line, fourth line checkers, which has been the case for I would say like Adam Gaudette would have been and actually going a little ways back with the Canucks, Hunter Carrick as well, those kind of players. Now I kind of think Höglander might fit into that. Holtkosen, I definitely would expect a higher ceiling from, and I kind of, Mike was saying it would be nice to see him maybe in a 3-on-3 overtime, something like that. I think he definitely has some skill. Like, we've seen some nice plays from him. So just my 2 cents. I don't know what the answer is, but players if you're a young player, you got to make use of your opportunity as well when you get it.
So I have a question. This might be a little debate, but we can just quickly go through it because I want to hear Kyle's answer as well too. So speaking on like Rathbone and not like playing a lot, but we have people like Myers and Ekman-Larsson playing, ton of minutes, which isn't like doing any good for the Canucks. Would it be beneficial, or would it just be kind of a waste to say, like, for a game or two, hey, Myers, you're going to be scratched for the game? Would that be more like beneficial, or, just like a waste because of his cap type of thing? Like, would they ever, I don't know how I'm trying to put this, but would they ever want to think about scratching them for a game or two and kind of just be like, hey, you've been playing like shit type of thing? Like, I don't know who the replacements would be, but I'm just like thinking, like, I know they're bigger name guys, they're assistant captains, but at one point they have to be held accountable because it's pretty much them.
I totally agree. And I've been saying that. I think I already mentioned that earlier in this podcast about scratching Larson or Pearson or Myers.
Yeah, I'm on the completely same page. I don't think it matters how much you're being paid. You need to be held accountable for at least a game or two just to get something changing.
Now, do you think if Rathbone played 20 minutes a game, he's going to fare better than Myers or OEL?
Maybe not at the beginning, but in a long-term kind of sense, since he's still young, I think he'll also provide a little more offense than either of these guys do.
I think too, it's not always as much about will Rathbone be better. It's more Myers and Ekman-Larsson, you need to be better. So maybe they just need a bit of a wake-up call.
Totally
I think
agree.
the biggest thing that we need to factor in as well with this discussion is Bruce Boudreau's job is on the line right now. And if I was in his position, as much as I want the young players to develop, if I have to save my job, then I'm going to choose the veterans that have been there and are a bit more used to the situations that come up throughout the game, even if they can't, or even if they aren't doing it to the best of their abilities. And that's maybe costing you some games. There's a chance that they put it all together for a few nights and they win a few games in a row and kind of cool his seat down a little bit.
Kyle, you think he's almost being a bit too safe in his decisions?
Oh, absolutely. But you kind of see the same thing with a lot of other coaches who are on the hot seat. I can't think of any at the exact moment, but even the Montreal guy the other year, he wouldn't play Caulfield. He played Suzuki, but it was all like Hoffman, Anderson, like all the vets trying to save his job, and then he got fired. St. Louis comes in, and all of a sudden Caulfield's playing a bunch, and now Caulfield is a god, according to Montreal fans.
And and Hoffman, all those guys are getting healthy scratched, I hear.
Yeah, straight up. Yeah, I mean Hoffman's been a ghost for a couple of years now, so
Yeah, that's a good point. That was kind of my thinking with what Kyle said. I mean, Myers, OEL have played a lot of minutes. They played a lot of games. They know how to play them. But then, kind of like Max and Aaron and Mike are saying, it's not working. Like they're losing and they're playing bad. So, at what point do you change things?
Because if they were to get rid of Boudreau, bring in a new coach, like very good job security for that coach right off the bat. He could try out things like that. Like he could elevate puck goals in the lineup, and if it goes poorly for 7-8 games, well, we'll lower him in the lineup and try again next season, kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that point. I think I'll probably go next with my player. I think we've definitely talked enough about the Canucks here.
Yeah.
I'll go. It's probably similar discussion to what we just talked about, but going down to Seattle here, I have my pick as Shane Wright. Obviously, a player that we have not really been able to see a lot since it's his first season, but he's only been limited to 7 games, averaging out at 8 minutes a night. I mean, it's hard to say what's going down there. I know it's a tough decision on whether you send him down to juniors, the AHL, or keep him in the NHL, but if he's not going to be getting minutes, I don't see the point of keeping him up there. He's still 18 years old. Like, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add there. I mean, it's a pretty similar discussion to what we just kind of were talking about with the Canucks.
Well, they're probably giving him what's the max number of games he can play if they're going to send him down? 9? Is it 9?
I believe, yeah. Once you hit the 10-game mark, it burns the first year.
Okay. So, yeah, I don't know why they don't just play those games or make a decision. I'm not sure why they're scratching him. But, well, I don't. They're playing the best lineup, and I guess he's not. He'll get a couple more games, and then they'll probably make a decision from there.
Which would be pretty soon here, since he's at 7.
Yeah, he's at 7. So
at the end of the day, if they're gonna play him 8 minutes a night, just send him to junior.
Yeah.
There's no way staying in the NHL playing less than 10 minutes a night will help him.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going down.
Why not? Because if you're not playing hockey, you're not getting better. You can do how much in practice and game situations. Like if he's going to be playing 23 minutes a night in WHL, or was it OHL he was playing? Kingston?
Yeah.
If you're going to be playing 2.5 times more minutes or close to 3 times more minutes in the OHL, then you're just going to be more confident and keep on developing, right? Especially because he didn't have the strongest offensive season in his draft year. Yeah, kind of took a step back, so he could use a bit more.
I don't mind him playing 8 minutes a night for 9 games and then sending him back.
Yeah, but if they're going to keep him up there and he's going to do
talking about
50 games,
keeping him, right? Yeah, that's agreeable. Which ultimately, I think that's what we'll see ultimately.
Yeah. I love how me and Corey are just starting to agree more the more episodes we do.
Kind of weird.
We're getting soft.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys had a bit of an argument last one with the whole trivia.
The difference of opinions on a guy's career. I mean, Scouting Report said he was a power play specialist because he had a heavy shot. Amateur fans think he's not, so.
I mean, if Joe Corvo is a power play specialist, then Roberto Luongo is an elite goaltender, okay?
Which some could argue.
And I will argue that.
As you do.
Actually, my friend, I got after my Luongo bit, I got a message from my friend Morgan this morning saying, basically, how dare I need to go to jail for my work. So, and then we talked a little bit about it. So, yeah, thus it begins.
So Morgan is a big Luongo fan and probably a big Joe Corvo power play specialist fan too.
So he asked me a good question actually, and it was, would the Canucks have won the cup if Demko had been in net and not Luongo? And that got the noodle thinking a little bit. Now, the only playoff experience we've seen from Demko is against Vegas in 2020, wherein he was very, very good.
Yeah, bubble Demko.
Yeah. So I said yes. Anyways, I digress. Where were we?
Well, I don't know, Corey, do you want to give your pick?
Oh, sure. Okay, players hampered by team and or coach. I've gone with the best player in the league, Connor McDavid. And honestly, I'll say it, the best player ever. I don't care, I said it. But he is the best hockey player ever. Yeah, hampered by his team. Edmonton they've done a extremely poor attempt. You have this generational player, and I'm sure some of you will say, "Oh, McDavid's not the best because he hasn't elevated his team." Yeah, blah blah blah. Okay, they have not. It's a hockey. Okay, this isn't basketball. This is hockey. You need a team with more than one player, and they have done a sorry attempt at building a competitive team with the best chance that they have, since the 80s at winning a cup. McDavid's been on Edmonton for 8 years. This is his 8th year. They've made the playoffs, 3-4 if you include losing the qualifying round in that bubble year. So half the years they've made the playoffs, and they've only won 3 rounds. 3 rounds. That's not good enough. For McDavid's 8th year, the guy that wins the Art Ross basically every year, that's not good enough. The players that they could have had, last year they went to the 3rd round. Mike Smith was their goalie. Mike Smith was their goalie. Not to discredit Mike Smith, he had a great career, but not last year.
40-year-old Mike Smith doesn't drag you to the 3rd round. That's all McDavid, Draisaitl.
Yeah, exactly. These players, they carried this team, but you need to do more. They need a number 1 defenseman. I don't know if Nurse is really.
He's getting paid like it.
Yeah, he's getting paid like it. And they've just kind of they're putting it. Seems like their team's getting better, but they were been circling wingers around. Like McDavid's, Cassian was around. Lucic, they're just the struck. Both Stromes have played for Edmonton. I think just Ryan Strome actually. But I just feel like this cascade of random players they've signed. What was their goalies they haven't had a goalie, and now they have Campbell. It's like they can't figure it out. And we're being robbed of prime McDavid years. McDavid's being robbed of his years. compared to other teams with similar situations. Pittsburgh, I'm talking about with Crosby, they built the team. Yeah, they had Malkin. Well, Edmonton has Draisaitl. They drafted Letang and Fleury. Well, Edmonton drafted Paul, Hopkins, Yakupov. Like, they have opportunities. Anyways, I think David has been hampered by Edmonton.
I'm just trying to look up what Gretzky had at 25. Like how many cups did Gretzky have at 25? And I can't find it right now. But you said McDavid is the best NHL player ever. Yep. You're talking like skill-wise compared to every other player ever, or skill-wise like compared to like the era?
I think skill-wise. I think the skills, the sheer number of hockey players playing today, the skills have surpassed eras previous. So I think the talent in this era has surpassed the talent in eras previous. I just said that. So the best player, the most skilled player right now is McDavid. Therefore, I think he's the most skilled player ever.
Skilled player ever, okay. Because obviously, like Gretzky, like dominated his era. But if you put him in today's game, who knows?
Yeah,
given
who knows?
the modern equipment and stuff, like obviously it'd be different. But let's say,
yeah, just everything. Yeah, I mean, goaltending has gotten better. Shooting has gotten better. Skating has gotten better. So, you disagree?
No. I definitely agree with you. I'm just still trying to find out how many cups Gretzky had won by 25 years old, and it's improving to not be the best Google search. Or maybe I should have used Bing on this one.
I think Edmonton should have been more competitive by the 8th year of McDavid's career than they have been.
Yeah, at this point, it's almost getting to where it's too late. Like, they're just kind of stuck, and eventually they're going to probably lose them.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, although Edmonton has had more success recently and Toronto hasn't, at least Toronto has made the playoffs every year, which is the minimum you have to do. And have actively tried to, resolve issues and build a team and bring in guys like Spezza and Wayne Simmons and other players along those lines to, try and build a good team and have made the playoffs ever since Matthews has been there.
Yeah, I think Toronto's definitely done a better job at surrounding Matthews with the talent.
For sure.
Which is pretty obvious.
For sure. And if you look at something else very comparable, Buffalo with Eichel and their other young stars, that they did not make the playoffs at all any year. And what happened? They had to trade all their stars, all those young stars. Now, I know they've rebuilt and are playing well right now, actually. But they had a pretty solid young core that essentially wanted to leave because they never had any success with that core. So that is definitely what you not want to do. And now the Canucks I know we keep mentioning the Canucks, but now they're in a spot. They're in exactly the spot that we're talking about. Obviously, they don't have a McDavid, but they have a lot of young players and their team is losing. So I don't know.
Yeah.
So I can chime in here because I don't know if you've figured out the Google here, but
I can't, man. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
Okay, so Gretzky had 2 cups before he was 25, and then he had 2 more when he was 27 and
Immediately
28.
after.
Yeah.
Kyle, what
So-
were you searching that you could not find that?
Like,
Yeah, I think we need
I
to
don't- I
this.
A little bit concerning.
I'm not good
Using
with
Internet
computers.
Explorer? Like, Jesus.
It is Google Chrome, but
Oh.
it says I said how old was Gretzky when he won his first Stanley Cup, and then it said how old was Gretzky when he won his first Stanley Cup, and it says at age 19 Gretzky won his first Hart Trophy, and then it goes off about all this other junk, and then it says when did Gretzky win his cup, and then it's giving me years, and I can't do math very quickly. So
All right.
thank you,
Well,
Max, very much.
You're welcome. I saved you there.
So, Kyle, maybe cut your losses, and why don't you
Oh,
give
yeah.
us your
Yeah,
player?
I'm done. Yeah, I'm done. So I chose 2 players. I'm gonna start with Nikolai Ehlers first. I think a lot of the issues that the Jets had the past few years is just trying to run with the old boys crew and try to make Wheeler and Scheifele be players that they're not, where having Ehlers in their lineup and playing third line minutes and no power play time or second line power play time was a huge hindrance to that team's success. He's a dynamic skater, dynamic puck handler, great shooter, and I think that like one of the main issues with Winnipeg was that they did not play him in situations where his skill would take over. They would throw Adam Lowry out there, guys like that. So, yeah. Any question or any comments there?
No questions.
He's really trying to set himself up for a Mikey Monday.
Yeah.
Mikey's muted himself the entire time. Hasn't given us a chance.
Questions
so-
and comments.
Questions and comments. Maybe you have
Concerns.
questions. Questions, comments, concerns. And then my second player was Heiskanen. Obviously, this season, Heiskanen's doing unreal, but the past couple of years under Rick Bowness, he was made to play a lot more of a defensive style, and that just absolutely killed his offensive production. I remember a handful of years ago when Dallas went to the Cup Finals, Heiskanen was one of the main reasons why. And after that playoff run, he just went quiet when the system changed to a much more defensive system, and now he's back and given all the other defensemen a run for their money when it comes to the Norris Trophy. So
is he a player that works better on an offensive system?
I think he's a player that both works better on an offensive system and just works better when he has the freedom to drive play up ice and isn't restricted to getting to center line and dumping it in, because I think that was the main issue, was he was kind of getting to the center line or getting to the blue line and dumping it in because he wasn't allowed to be the person that was farthest up the ice on his team. That was the forward's job, which bringing in a new coach, DeBoer is always great his first season with a team, so watch Dallas go to the Stanley Cup final because he likes to do that in his first season and just absolutely shit the bed afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah, I think,
DeBoer
What was that, Corey?
No, I forgot he was coaching Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think another point too is he's like the main man now in Dallas. Not to say he wasn't really last year, but you had John Klingberg.
Klingberg was kind of mid last year anyways.
Yeah, but he still was, I believe, manning the top power play, and he was going to be out there for, over 20 minutes. So, Heiskanen was a bit almost in his shadow when it comes to some playing time and, like you were saying, with freedom.
I think Heiskanen played more than Klingberg did last year. Plus, Klingberg is a righty and Heiskanen's a lefty, so they could play together as well. I don't
know
think
if they
that was
ever did,
taking.
though. Yeah.
Maybe Bonus didn't.
Klingberg's an offensive defenseman as well. How did he do with the defensive structure?
Well,
that you're talking?
He went quiet. Like, there's a reason why he couldn't get a contract this offseason. I mean, that could also be because his agent kind of screwed him a little bit. too, but yeah. So those are my picks. Pretty big fan of both. So I just hope that they can kind of do better going forward and get a bit more freedom to play the hockey that I know that they can.
Alrighty. Well, I think we can move on to our basically second last segment here. We're going to do some, probably our favorite one, which is the trivia. So like Corey mentioned, we both prepared our own question for the rest of you lot. Do you want me to go first, Corey?
Go for it.
Sure. Okay. So mine's slightly different. So you guys won't be guessing the player. You're going to have to guess the team I am talking about. So I got 4 hints for you. If you don't get it by, well, the last hint is a pretty much almost dead giveaway, so you hopefully can know it then, but I hope you don't know it off the first one because I worked hard on these. All right, so we're starting off here with this hint. This team retired a jersey before they even played their first game.
Oh, I got it.
Got it.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay. Damn it.
That was a tie, right? Or
that was pretty damn close, yeah.
We gotta do the playback.
Instant replay. Mikey, Aaron, do you have any guesses?
Nope.
No, not yet.
Okay, I can keep going for you guys then, but Kyle, Corey seem very confident.
oh yeah.
I'm not going to get it after like 10 guesses guaranteed. But
No,
or
you
10
might.
hints.
Mikey, you're pretty close to this next one here, so you should know it. This mullet-wearing mascot wears the number 18,001.
need number change?
No, he wears that on his jersey.
Yeah, you definitely need a number change. Can't be having that number. Mullet wearing mascot.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you said when you were like close to this, it's going to be like the Canucks.
No, close to it, because mullet.
Yeah,
You know what? I think I have a guess now. Actually,
Okay. Mikey, nothing?
nah.
All right. Well, not last hint, but this expansion team has never been to the Cup Finals.
yikes.
Did that solidify your guess, Aaron?
I don't know, but I'm gonna stick with what I had.
Okay.
Mullet
Mikey?
mascot. I think I have a guess, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I think I do, but it's going to be wrong.
Do you want the last hint then?
Okay, sure. This might solidify it.
Yeah, it should. This team had a stressful summer in 2022 trying to retrieve their best player from
Yeah.
Russia.
I got it. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got it.
All right, Mikey, go ahead.
The Wild?
Yes.
The
I'm
fact
assuming
that
all of you had that.
that Kyle beat Corey there was crazy.
I don't know. I feel like I said it before. I heard my voice before Kyle's voice.
We definitely
Yeah,
gotta go back over the tapes on that one.
I just want to hear some
I-
conflict, so that's why I said
I
that.
heard Corey's a little bit before, not gonna lie.
I forgot.
I think we could probably sum that up as a tie, though.
Wow, you're so nice.
Look
I
at
am.
you guys getting along.
So Max, I would say that was a very good Mikey Aaron level trivia question, but maybe you gotta go a
Yeah.
little harder on Kyle and Corey next time.
Hey, you gotta tell us the number they retired.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, I initially did have the number they retired, but got rid of it because I thought it might be too easy. So before their first game, they retired the number 1 because their fans are number 1.
Hey, that's cringe.
That
That
is
is- I-
true.
I actually heard an announcement that Arizona was going to retire the same number in celebration of their one fan.
Jesus.
That's funny. Yeah. I don't really like the retire one because of, I don't know. That seems like
It's a bit.
seems like Disney. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I'll retire a really random number 2.
Well, I'll tell you, one team that'll never do that is Vancouver. They'll never retire number 1.
I gotta give this point to Corey because I thought it was the Knights off the first hint.
Oh, yikes.
Oh.
Because they retired the 58 for the shooting victims.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I was thinking Seattle because they retired. I think it was number 32, very randomly.
Max, since you're a big fan of the Minnesota Wild, why is that mascot have that number?
Oh, shoot. I have to look it up again. It's something to do with, like, the number of fans or something like that.
Let's put this Uno reverse on the Trivia Master.
Yeah. Nordy wears the number 18,001 to represent his place as a member of the team of 18,000.
So he's the 18,001st fan? Is that what that means?
Yeah, it's just not really a fan.
Why not?
What's going on?
Why don't not just give him a number? I don't get that.
You look up a photo of what it looks like because it looks quite funny on the jersey.
Okay.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, you knew that from playing mascots in NHL.
I figured. The mullet one, yeah.
All the things that I would know, that's going to be it.
That's funny.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, all right, Corey.
Okay, you guys ready for this? I was not creative. I just have a player. I think this one's pretty tough. But
Great.
here we go. Everyone ready? Kyle, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay. Okay. This player in his first and last professional hockey seasons, he played with 2 members of the same family. In his first season, he played with Hari Aho, and in his last season, he played with his son, Sebastian Aho, for, and I might butcher this name, Karpat in Finland.
What's
that
that?
was the team.
I mean, I might have a random guess, but it's definitely not a Goddard.
So he played with the dad, and then he played with the son, and this is obviously an NHL player.
Yes, is an NHL player, but his first and his last professional years. In his first professional year, he played with Hari Aho. The last professional year, he played with Sebastian Aho, and I was in Karpat, Finland. We're the SM Liga.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, might have a good guess. I don't know.
Okay. This player played in the NHL for 9 seasons with Philadelphia, Edmonton, and Carolina. In
All right,
that order.
Never mind. My guess.
Philadelphia, Edmonton, Carolina.
9 seasons.
Carolina's Los Angeles.
Okay. I will now read to you this player's report from EliteProspects.com.
Play specialist.
It says, a big and strong defenseman who skates well, a tough player who likes to play physically, always works hard for his team, and is useful on both power play and penalty kill. Has suffered a lot of injuries throughout his career. You notice it says useful, but not specialist.
Okay, noted.
Okay.
Corey. No, don't leave us hanging.
We'll never know.
Anybody have any guesses if he's not here?
Carolina. Oh, defenseman failed.
I thought I had a good guess with Chara, because like Aho and then Aho for the Islanders, like they're all in Aho.
Wait, but he said he played in the Finnish league.
Said Sebastian Aho, right?
And Sebastian Aho.
Oh, you're talking about sorry, I got
the
you.
Islanders one.
Yeah.
Well, he said that it was Philadelphia, Edmonton, Carolina in that order. I got it.
Well, okay, but my guess was before I knew the teams.
Okay.
Mine was just purely. I don't know how you have that. That's ridiculous.
Okay, you have to give us your, because Corey is not here. You get to just say it, and then you can verify with Corey.
I think it's Jani Pitkanen.
Ooh.
How do you know that? Who is
What
that?
the fuck?
Philadelphia, Edmonton, Carolina.
Wait, go Google his elite prospects and see if it says the same thing Corey said.
Wait, he played. What was the first clue Corey gave? Something about a son and a dad?
Yeah.
First in last season, he played with son.
So just so the fans know, Corey's something crashed. So here he is. So he's not here, is what I meant to say. Oh.
2 weeks in a row, Kyle.
Sorry, Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, it looks like it. Oh yeah, it is. It's 100% him.
You had to use Google for that for sure.
No, I didn't. Are you kidding me?
There's no way you're getting Joni Pitkanen.
Why not? He was just a random tall defenseman. I don't know about power play. Now I'm starting to sound like Corey.
It's all good. Let's get to the next part. The bonus episode and the next fan question. Let's get that part. I don't know anything about this bonus episode, so Kyle.
I was leaving this for Max. I didn't know he was recording.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, I think this was after episode 14 of the podcast. This would have been about 2 weeks ago. While editing the podcast, Kyle and Corey at like 11 o'clock at night or something like that is just going on and on about, just completely random shit. I haven't really listened to it, but I was there obviously listening to it in the background, and I decided to hit record halfway into their conversation, which went on for about an hour. So with their permission, I decided to upload it, and feel free to have a listen. It's not as organized. They have no idea they're being recorded, which is funny.
Yeah, I think it's just us just mumbling different players' names.
It's fully just you going. Yeah, it's quite funny.
So I think me and Corey started watching and like paying attention to the NHL around the same time. So we have a lot of like memories in common of like random players from like our childhood that were just like no-name people that just like stuck in our head. So
yeah, it is pretty impressive the kind of facts you guys can pull out. So if you are one of those people who likes hearing very bizarre facts about very bizarre players, definitely go take a listen to that because it's quite entertaining for sure.
And if you started watching the NHL in like the early to late 2000s as well, I think it'll bring back some interesting memories as well for you.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, we already uploaded that. So as you're hearing this, you will see wherever you find your podcast, there will be that bonus episode. It's about half hour long. It does just kick in right in the middle of their conversation, so be ready for that. There's no fancy intro music or anything. But yeah, so I mean, that's pretty much near the end of our podcast here. Sorry for this a bit of a scuffed ending, but I believe
it stopped me from getting it right.
Yeah, I can't believe you got that.
Sabotage.
Need another hint.
I didn't need another hint. I just needed some time to think. Anyways, I'm gonna stop cutting you off, Max. Go for it.
Thank you. Jesus. We're already going on long enough here. So our next fan question for you all is going to be about, pretty much what we went over today. That's what we like to ask you guys. So our question for you is, who do you think is the player that's being hampered the most by a team or coach? Let us know. We'll make a post for it for the Insta, and feel free to drop a comment on our old one as well, about being whoever the most overrated player is. So Aaron, take us away for the outro.
Yeah, thank you, Max. So, first off, we want to hear from you guys. So please go leave us a review and let us know also if there's any specific topics you want to hear us discuss. As always, like Max said, please make sure to head over to our Instagram to answer our fan questions. We will be back next week with a brand new episode where we're going to put a little bit of a twist on the topic we talked about today, and we're going to go over what teams are hampered by a certain player. It should be another good discussion, so thanks for tuning in this time, and we will see you all next week.